what's happening? Tim with Nomad Trading. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching this random YouTuber talk about stock market and finance and all that awesome stuff here on a beautiful Monday morning. Not so beautiful if you're in the Midwest like me. I woke up and it was 20-some degrees and snow on the ground. Didn't realize it was going to snow. So apparently, hello winter. Just a little bit of a shock. Anyway, we're going to talk about the stock market today, how it's down, why it's down. Dow Jones had its worst day since early September today. Why that is basically is because of stimulus talks stalling out. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to also talk about hot momentum stocks of the day like DSS, GRIL, LLIT, some of the stocks that were moving that day traders like myself were watching and trading and keeping an eye on. And we'll talk about where those are at and where they might be headed, etc. So if you like this video at all at any point, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, comment. I answer all the comments personally. Notifications on, all that YouTube stuff that helps the algorithm. First off, I wanted to check this out here. CNBC.com is talking about some of the numbers from today. Dow Jones closed 2.29% down for its worst day since September 3rd, closing below 28,000 for the first time since October 6th. Closed below its 50-day moving average, and this is something I was going to talk about over here on the charts, which I will. It's a pretty big thing. Same thing with the S&P, closing below its 50-day moving average. If you don't know anything about that or what that means, we're going to talk about it here in a second. So let's go over to the actual market here. Go to SPY. This is SPY, which is the S&P 500 ETF, a daily chart, 100 days. And we're going to look over here. This is today. As you can see, the market was kind of consolidating as Congress kicked the can down the road. Is there going to be stimulus? Is there not going to be stimulus? Things are going good today. Things are not going good. It's just been back and forth for multiple days during all this roller coaster consolidation. Sitting on top of this consolidation. And then what happens here today, people kind of started to realize that cases were up, which is one thing, but also the stimulus talks are breaking down. There was kind of a little bit of hope Friday, and then, yeah, we're going to work through the weekend, which translates into we're not really going to work through the weekend because it's Congress. We're going to talk here and there. We're going to have the people below us talk to their people below them, but nothing's really going to come of it. And that's what typically happens on the weekend, and it's what happened this weekend. And then they kind of put out their little press releases, etc. And ultimately on Monday, the markets realized that, hey, stimulus has been a bunch of FOMO, and we're kind of hoping that it happens before the election, but the odds are getting slimmer and slimmer. So here we are today. It breaks this blue line, which is the 50-day moving average, the moving average of the last 50 days, and it had bounced off that a couple days ago. And then today it finally breaks below that. It has pulled back up, which is a good sign, but still we're not looking good at this point. It's looking more like there's going to be more downside unless they can pull a rabbit out of a hat with stimulus and make that jump back up, and we'll see. But from a technical analysis standpoint, at this point, it's not looking that great for the near term. If we look over here at today, let's see what we got here. DSS, this is one that I was talking about in live chat on YouTube. I stream my scanners on YouTube live when I'm not in the office, so if you need a scanner and don't know how to find stocks that are hot, whatever, you can just go to my YouTube page during the day, and most of the time I'm streaming. It's a little bit random what time I start because it depends on what's going on, but usually I'm streaming my scanner and these scanners here that are scanning the market. And this is my low float momentum scanner, which is going to find the ones that day traders are typically trading. So DSS today, we were talking about it live in the chat. I was talking about how if you look at the daily chart, not an ideal daily chart because it's downtrending here, and you're gonna run into resistance with a downtrending chart like this. But it did pop up above the 50 moving average and beyond this consolidation area here. I talked about in the chat that $7 and a little bit above that would end up being resistance because you got the 200 moving average that it would be coming up on, and also a little bit of what could be resistance over here with this area and this area, the top of this candle. So turns out that $6, as I talked about there, $6 would probably be resistance, then turn into support, and then $7 would be the next level of resistance. And if it could break that like 715 range, we could maybe head up to $8. What ended up happening is we got a nice move. It curled up through VWAP. Market opened back here, by the way, and then it curls up through VWAP and the 200. And then this right here, it comes back down, kind of forming a cup and handle, comes back down to test the $6 area, and then that's when you get a nice, great, basically $1 move here. So that would have been a pretty solid setup. That's what I was talking about in the chat. You know, if it can come back, it breaks 6, comes back and tests 6, and holds, it could rocket to 7. And then it did exactly that. Then I talked about taking profits up here because it's up in that $7 range where we could find resistance, and sure enough, it fades back. It did end up having the strength. It's up on earnings, so it does have a good catalyst. It did come back up, and it did test 7 again and fail. And then this was a surprising move here as it bounced off the 50 moving average, and it got all the way up and then did break the 715 range. But it was heavy. It just got to that area and couldn't hold it, so we ended up fading. So anyway, a few different spots to make money on that. You could have played the VWAP bounce here and made some money. Could have played the bounce off the 50 moving average here. However, it went a lot higher than I thought. I would have been taking profit here at the $7 range. And then again here, this was, in my opinion, the best move was the break of the 200 and VWAP here, and then also when it tested 6, came back and tested 6, and then held. That would have been a nice spot to take a trade. Then we got LLIT. This one gapped way up pre-market to $8. It was trading yesterday in like the 3s, I think. Yeah, down here in the 3s yesterday, and then gaps up and goes all the way to over almost 850. But not a very good opportunity for trades to the long side because it basically faded the entire day. You see this a lot with low flow momentum stocks. Many times they just spike up in the first few minutes and then they'll fade all day as the volume kind of comes in. So that's what happened here. It got halted at one point, and then yeah, just faded. So it was more of a short than it would have been a long. Not really any setups that I liked to the long side. Let's see, what else did we have? There was GRIL was another one, GRIL. This one again popped way up to $3 and then pretty much faded all day. Could have taken a trade as it broke the 200 and VWAP right here and made a decent little scalp out of that. Maybe right there at market open you could have scalped it up, but again it didn't hold its gains very well. So anytime I'm seeing those drops like this drop here, this drop here, makes me a little bit leery to the long side when they're giving up all their gains like that. Then I'm thinking about that as I would be going long in this scenario. I'd be worried about, you know, hey, this thing gave up all its gains. Maybe I don't want to go long here. So not a very good setup on that one either, but you could have traded it. Other than that, those are pretty much the ones that I saw that were the best that people were really watching. But on a big market down day, that's what you have. You don't end up having as bigger runners typically when you got a big market down day. 3 out of 4 stocks roughly follow the market, so it puts a little bit of a cap on the big moves. What's going to happen in the future? I think overall 401ks and long-term investments are going to be okay. I think the market's going to be okay long-term. I do think that this could be the beginning of a sell-off. We'll see what happens with the stimulus talks. They're going to need to prop it up with that because otherwise I would not be shocked to see more selling up into the election. If I was a billionaire, I would probably be pulling a little bit into cash going into the election just because of the uncertainty. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that leading up to the election. And then if there is no stimulus before the election, I wouldn't be shocked. I know all the experts that know way more than me that study this stuff all the time and live and breathe the stock market. They all keep saying that it doesn't matter who wins the election, the stock market's going up. We see nothing but good in the future for the stock market after election. And I think that's true like long term. But in my humble YouTube guy opinion, I don't think that's the truth short term after the election, because if there's no stimulus before then, everybody knows that it's pretty much a dead session for Congress. From the time there's an election until the time of inauguration, Congress basically doesn't accomplish. I know Congress doesn't accomplish anything anyway a lot of the time, but they really don't accomplish anything during that time. It's kind of like just dead time where nothing really occurs. So will they pass a big monumental stimulus package during that time after the election? I think it's less likely. And of course, it all depends on how everything plays out, who is elected president, and the Senate and House, and where those land as far as the majority. You know, there's a lot of different ways it could play out, but just my gut feeling going into it is that a lot of uncertainty, and with no stimulus before then, we could see a sell-off after the election. Yeah, we'll just have to see how that plays out.
If you made it this far, first of all, I just want to say I love you. You must have liked the video, so make sure you give me that thumbs up, subscribe, notifications on, of course, and then click on one of my videos to the side. If the YouTube algorithm is doing its job, there should be one over there. If not, just go to my page and check it out. Thanks for watching. Peace.